I'm Tamir, and this is the story of my friendship with Ruby. The time I started to work at Klarna was a very busy time for me. It was full of new experiences and beginnings, but the most challenging of them all was meeting Ruby. You see, while I had my fair share of experience, I have never written a single line of Ruby code in my life. I heard a lot about how great it is, but I've never tried it for myself. Ruby and I became instant friends. And as time went by, all the rumors turned out to be true. Ruby was everything I'd hoped for. We got along great, and every single thing was awesome. And then it wasn't. Like many of my other friends, Ruby started to get on my nerves. It wasn't anything too serious, but the more I found out, the more I started to question our friendship. Yep, questioning the friendship. Let me show you what I mean. For starters, I found out that you couldn't really trust Ruby to wake up on time. At times, it woke up too early, and at others, too late. But never quite at the time I was asking for. Another thing I found out is that Ruby has trouble counting. As you can see, it has an any operator that works just fine for standard use cases. As expected, it returns false for empty arrays and true for arrays containing strings. But things get dicey pretty quickly. If I ask Ruby if an array containing nil has any values in it, Ruby will happily respond, no. And the same goes for arrays containing any number of false booleans. But that's not all. Like many of my other programming friends, Ruby will not let you use variables or methods if you haven't defined them. If I haven't told Ruby what my order is, it will not cooperate. But Ruby will sometimes hear things I didn't say out loud. Because of the way it handles its variables, it might think I defined a variable even though I didn't. In this case, it will simply make out my order to just be null. Moving on. Let's talk about naming. Me and SQL go way back, and one of our understandings is on what select does. We have agreed that select executes a given function for each item in a given set. Not for Ruby. Ruby is special. In Ruby, select will work much like SQL's where function does. It will filter values out of an array. And if you want to get SQL select functionality in Ruby, map is the way to go. Here's another thing Ruby will let me do. I can make the plus operator subtract instead of add. This is called monkey patching, and it allows you, among other things, to redefine methods, objects, and classes at runtime. Found a bug in an external library? Patch it yourself. Don't bother letting the maintainers know about it. Your design can handle a specific use case? A refactor will take you ages. A small monkey patch, and you're immediately good to go. Monkey patching lets you do amazing things, but it also sets programmers up for shortcuts and rule bending. And I don't want any of my friends to just sit by and let me do whatever I want. And for our last example, let's examine Ruby's logic skills. If I set in love to be true and false, what do you think its value will be? Any logician will surely tell you that in love should be set to false. Not Ruby. Ruby defies logic. If I set in love to be true and false in Ruby, its value will become true. This might make sense if you look at it from Ruby's perspective, and if you're interested in why, feel free to come over and chat. Ruby and I have been through a lot together. I spent some great time with it and wrote some awesome code, but I also spent quite some time banging my head on the keyboard trying to figure out a Ruby gotcha. Despite our differences, Ruby is still my friend. My expectations are in check, and I know what I should and shouldn't ask it to do. Writing Ruby code is like hanging out with an old friend. I just sit back and enjoy my time. Like I did with Ruby, I encourage you all to find your own programming friends. Spend some time with them and get to know them, what they do best, and what you should absolutely not ask them to do. Go out and explore and make as many friends as you can. And know that when the time comes, one of your friends will surely be there for you. Thank you.